Okay, well, we'll go ahead and call tonight's meeting to order. If able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pape,
Here.
Councilmember Shavetta,
Here.
Councilmember Kosmeyer,
Here.
Councilmember Hands,
Here.
Councilmember Caldwell,
Here.
Councilmember Leahy,
Here.
Councilmember Ryder,
Here.
Councilmember Silvers,
Here.
Councilmember Yodrich.
Here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, next item up is public items. Members of the public are encouraged to use this time to make comments about matters directly related to the city's programs and services. Comments related to a matter or topic on the city council agenda that is the subject of a public hearing should be provided during the scheduled public hearing and not during the public comment period. Please note individuals making public comments be limited to 3 minutes. The city reserves the right to refuse public comments which are inconsistent with the parameters established within the governing body rules and procedures. I did have a sign-up sheet that nobody signed up on, but is there anybody that would like to come forward this time that doesn't preclude you from still coming forward to the podium and making public comments? Don't everybody rush at once. Okay. Okay, I see nobody coming forward. All right, well, we will close out the public comment section there of that part of the committee. I would like to recognize two individuals on the back row. I'm not to identify them, but they are Rockhurst students that are here this evening to watch what's going on and the part of the honors program. So anyway, thank you guys for attending. We appreciate you coming here. Come every 2 weeks if you'd like. So I'm sure you'll find it very exciting this evening. Okay, next item up is the consent agenda. All items under this heading are considered to be routine by the City Council and may be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which case that item will be removed, the consent agenda considered separately. We do have 3 items this evening. Is there anyone who would like to have any one of those 3 removed from the consent agenda? See nothing that way. See nothing that way. Well, I would entertain a motion for that then. Okay, Mr. Silvers.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that the council approve consent agenda items number 1 through 3.
Okay, and a second, Ms. Chandrish.
Mr. Mayor, second.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion, a second.
Councilmember Shavetta,
Aye.
Councilmember Kosmeyer,
Aye.
Councilmember Hands,
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell,
Aye.
Councilmember Leahy,
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder,
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers,
Aye.
Councilmember Yodrich.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item up this evening would be the mayor's report. And you guys are lucky enough to get a proclamation this evening, which I'd like to read at this time. It goes like this. Whereas Women's History Month is an annual celebration of the history and accomplishments of women across the world and acknowledges their courage and struggle to attain the same basic human rights as men, it still proceeds to this day. And whereas American women of all races and ethnicities fought to not only secure their own suffrage rights and equal opportunity, but also for others in the abolitionist movement, labor rights, voting, and civil rights, which created a more fair and just society for all. And whereas the Women's History Month theme for 2026 is Leading the Change, Women Shaping a Sustainable Future, and it honors women who are driving innovation and rebuilding systems to ensure a more equitable, resilient, and sustainable future across environmental, economic, and social sectors. Whereas the City of Merriam recognizes women throughout our community who have been instrumental in passing down their history and heritage to communicate the lessons of those who came before us, as these stories expand our understanding and strengthen our connections with each other. Now, therefore, in recognition and honor of the brave, accomplished, and influential women who told and continue to tell their stories, I, Bob Pape, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of Merriam, Kansas, do hereby proclaim March 2026 as Women's History Month, proclaimed on the 9th day of March 2026. Bob Pape, Mayor. And I have a couple more words I want to say to that, and then I'm going to have some other people come down. But a little bit of history of some of the women that's in Merriam, and there is a lot, but I just have couple that came to mind as I was thinking about this evening. But Merriam has the distinction of two important firsts for women in government in Johnson County. Okay, Lucy Ann Vavra was the first female city administrator in Johnson County, and Irene B. French was the first female mayor in Johnson County. So those two big ones. A little bit about Mayor French. She had over 50 years in government in Merriam. She started on the Planning Commission and then spent 8 years on City Council prior to becoming the mayor. She served 20 years as our mayor. She had the vision to raise funds and establish our first community center, which was later named in her honor. And she helped start the Merriam Park and Rec and Community Center Foundation. She was instrumental in major developments in car dealerships and coming to Merriam, and was named the Merriam Citizen of the Year and the Kansas Mayor of the Year. She even wrote the historic Merriam book, and she was instrumental at federal, state, and county levels, all governments as well. And that's just a little bit about the history of a couple important ones. There were a lot more in Merriam. But I'd like to recognize the 4 women currently serving on the City Council for their contributions to our community as well. They're instrumental in leading our community today. Please join me in front to be recognized as I present the proclamation to all of you. Or picture. Please come down. I'm going to present it to all of you, but I only have one, so it's kind of a ceremonial thing.
Efficient. We're very efficient.
Okay, thank you for doing
Big
that.
women.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for that.
Oh, yeah, and this is also brought to my attention, we have flags out front. If you haven't seen those, please check them when you leave. Let's see, looks like next item up is the Officer of the Year 2025. Guess we probably got the chief coming forward.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. It is truly my honor tonight to be able to present in front of you all and the citizens here in attendance, the 2025 Police Officer of the Year. What makes this award, in my opinion, a very special award that our police department awards is the fact that it does not necessarily come directly from me. I don't have any part in the nomination and or selection of the individuals who receive this award. This award is grassroots from the officers themselves. They're the ones that nominate officers for this award. And then it goes to a committee made up of supervisors and officers that decide on the merits of the nominations, who is awarded this award. So it is truly a grassroots award in that it's a recognition of all his peers of the great work he did for the citizens of Merriam and this police department. 2025 Officer of the Year is Master Patrol Officer Phil Lewis. Some summary of the nomination information is as follows. Master Police Officer Phil Lewis was named Officer of the Year for his professionalism, reliability, and dedication to the Merriam Police Department. A trusted training officer, Phil has shaped nearly every officer in the department and is known as the go-to mentor for new recruits. He consistently demonstrates leadership, produces detailed reports, and leads in quality arrest. Phil's quick actions have reunited missing children and elderly individuals with their families. His commitment to teamwork and service exemplifies the department's values, making him highly deserving of this honor. And I cannot add anything to that because he is truly an asset to this department and has been since the day we hired him. Phil? Mayor? Congratulations. Thank you.
It's always nice to be recognized by your peers. Thank you, Officer Lewis. Okay, let's see. Next item up this evening is looks like the City of Merriam's annual report is going to be given. Looks like we've got Mr. Engel coming to the podium.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. It's my great pleasure to kick off this next item, which is our annual report. As you will recall, over the last 10 or so years, we've tried to find a variety of different ways to report out on all the good deeds that occur in our community each and every given year. The last several years, we've actually done a video, which I think was well received. Video is nice. It's always good to see, be visually reminded of the things that we've done and see ourselves in that little video. But what was sorely missing in that video is often context and, more importantly, statistics, things that we might want to call back on over the course of the years. To deal with that, to combat that, to address that, we've decided starting last year to go to this more formalized mixture of graphics, photos, and statistics that we can carry on throughout and compare year over year as we move into the future. You've got a lot of pages, a lot of data here. Hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to review all of that, because we're not going to cover every single slide, I promise. I'm only going to cover one particular slide, and that is our values. As a reminder, really more so for the public perhaps than at the council level or staff level, the values is really, I call it our secret sauce. It's the stuff that really makes us, drives us to do exemplary work day in, day out, from every level of staff to the council, to make Merriam the great place that it is to live, work, and play. Our values: service, accountability, leadership, teamwork, excellence, dedication. Those really are the things that are woven into almost everything that we do day in and day out. So I think it's important that that shows up at the very, very beginning of this presentation, because it is actually, again, the foundation of all of the good deeds that our folks do every day. I'm going to skip over a couple slides, because they're really kind of, I guess I'd say, greatest hits slides, but they are slides that are going to be covered in the different areas. Before I turn it over to Caitlin to cover administration, I want to thank all of our employees for the good work they do, the council for the support they provide, staff to be able to do all of this good work, our residents for routinely recognizing the high level of effort and high level of outcomes that the staff puts in, our department heads for being very succinct tonight and sharing all of these great successes that we do, and especially our communications team, who puts a lot of work into gathering all this information and making it digestible and attractive and shareable with the public. So that being said, I'm going to hand it off to Caitlin Gard for our administration overview. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I hope you love the annual report we put together. The communications team did a great job of wrangling everybody and all of this data. If you don't already know, the administration department is kind of the back scenes, kind of internal services department, obviously working with you all and making sure that we implement the policy that you set forward, but all of our internal work too: municipal court, IT, HR, city clerk, and communications, just to make sure that everything's running smoothly and all of our other employees get to do all the great work that you see every day. We had two major milestones last year: Merriam Grand Station Marketplace. As you can see, the buildings going up on Antioch and Shawnee Mission Parkway. And then last year was our great birthday party, our 75th birthday party, held at the Merriam Marketplace. We had two public art installations last year at the Merriam Community Center on the parking garage. That was a great community event. Not only did the community get to participate, but it's beautiful and we get great feedback. And as we've talked about every month for the last almost 2 years, last year, the City Council implemented the single hauler trash program that will begin on November 1st of 2026. Additionally, last year we launched our online records form for our open records request, processing 67 requests, easier for the public to access, and it's very much streamlined it for staff. And then congratulations to the governing body members who were elected, re-elected, including Mayor Pape. Moving on to human resources, we couldn't do the good things we do if we didn't have a team to help support them. So we have a great human resources department. Katie joined our team last year. Fantastic onboarding, not only to recruit, but retain the best employees in Johnson County. I know that that's a council goal. Some of the statistics, I'm not going to read every single one of these, but I will say, in particular, our employee wellness program increased by over 10 employees from 2024. So not only do we have staff that performs great services, but they're also focused on wellness as well. Moving on to finance, unfortunately, Megan could not be here tonight, so if you have questions, I will make sure that she answers them later. Please note that these are unaudited numbers. You will hear the audit report later this year. But all of our key financial highlights remained the same: AAA bond rating and our bonds. In addition to that, we had a really good investment year in 2025. We were up $20 million from 2024, which is really great for the financial security of the organization. And our revenues were up as well. In addition to that, I know Anna's going to talk about it a lot, but our Merriam Community Center has exceeded our expectations for the 5th year in a row. As far as our expenditures, our significant expense categories are all the same as 2024. Salaries and benefits, we need to make sure that we're paying our employees well. Our fire services budget with Overland Park Fire Department, and then also the utilities across all of our facilities. Key observations, like I said, revenue growth was good. The Merriam Community Center, again, outperformed. We want to make sure that we're budgeting and spending conservatively, so that's a focus of our everyday work. And then also we had a number of capital improvements that we financed last year as well. Moving on to municipal court. We were up to 5,701 citations issued in 2024. That's over 800 more than we issued 2025. That's over 800 more than we issued in 2024. And we also increased our cases closed over 900 from 2024 as well. As far as the financials from court, the trend that we are actually seeing is more people are paying online, which I know supports the governing body's goal of sustainability. So that's that dollar amount is actually up $100,000 being paid online versus in person, which is very exciting. As far as our total charges, our top 3 criminal charges, misdemeanor traffic offenses, and traffic infractions, the categories are all exactly the same as 2024, and our numbers continue to be maintaining. And none of this presentation could have been done without our great communications team. I will say one person is missing from this photo, Sierra, whom we brought on last year as well. We'll get an updated picture for this, but if you haven't, please thank them for all the very hard work they do. There's a lot of people that put forth a lot of effort in making sure that our community is communicated with. In addition to that, we have increased in almost every single platform that the city uses, 16% on Facebook, 24% on Instagram. I can imagine that's only going to keep getting larger. I think next year when we do this presentation, we're going to do a multiple year look back, just because the team has worked really, really hard, not only to be innovative in their communication strategies, but also have fun and have good content, make Merriam look cool. Our top performing social media posts, none of these are actually surprising. A number of them focused on downtown, which we'll talk about later this evening, but also our new developments, Merriam Grand Station and Marketplace, and then our fantastic snow removal. We get very positive responses from the community on snow removal. And like I said, our communications team is one of the very best. We receive awards every year. They do a fantastic job. 3rd place in the Award of Excellence for the Merriam Community and Visitors Guide, which I'm sure Karen will talk about here in a second. And then a 1st place in graphic design. So Brenna's done a great job for our Falling in Love with Parks publication. And my final slide, we want to make sure that we're reaching as much of the community as we can, so we're still offering our publications digitally in Spanish. Are there any questions for me before I move on?
Any questions, Ms. Gardner?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yep, looks like we got
Good evening, council. Thank you for letting me join you this evening. Tourism and Economic Development had a really great year. It is my pleasure to work with our visitors and our businesses in the Merriam community. Sorry. As Caitlin mentioned, we did win an award of excellence for the visitor guide. That is a national award, and we do print 15,000 copies of this guide. It is bilingual, available online and in travel centers across Kansas. You can ask Chris, he sees them a lot. Hearts Across Merriam campaign was something fun. I think you guys recall that. It was a great lead up to our birthday party where the marketplace grounds were the final hiding spot, right to wrap up the campaign. And that was in partnership with Dirk Van Keppel, a local artist here in Merriam. We are constantly working with content creators and social influencers to get earned media. And last year we met with quite a few of them, and 2 of them are featured on page 20 of our visitor guide this year. We will maintain those relationships and hopefully expand on those as well. We also hosted a lot of community pop-ups. You might have seen us at the community center throughout the year, from lemonade to hot chocolate and even a Red Friday giveaway. These events were really good at connecting the community. Regionally, we are collaborating with the chamber, with state associations, regional associations, legislative members, and if there's a person out there we should connect with, please let us know, we will. Walker School nomination, you might remember that they did receive the state designation for National Registry of Historic Places. I did speak with Tony recently, and he let me know that they should know soon and are expecting an approval at the national designation level. Walker would then join 2 other properties on the National Registry, which in '06 would be the Loomis Historic District at Johnson Drive in Hadley and the R.W. Hawker Home on Knox in 2017. That would give us 3 listings on the National Registry if we can make this one. Speaking of Women's History Month, we did host a women's breakfast. We will be having another one at the end of this month. That was our first one last year with our business owners. And in 2025, women-owned businesses in Merriam account for 88 registered businesses, employing over 600 people. We also coordinated a lot of activities for our businesses, some in conjunction with the chamber and some individually. I know some of you were there throughout the year. We appreciate your support with our business network. We do advertise these kinds of events in our e-newsletter, which is sent out quarterly to over 572 business subscribers with a 32% open rate, which is higher than the national average in our industry. We did visit with 42 businesses throughout Merriam. As you can see, our little goodie swag boxes there that we deliver full of information. Of those 42 businesses, they collectively employ 239 people. And then during Small Business Week, we also went out and delivered some donuts, kind of a play on words that we, do not want to do this without them. It's cheesy. We also wanted to capitalize on a way to invite our businesses to connect with our residents. And while we do that through our Shop Merriam program, and that is very successful, we wanted to bring our events into organize that with our families that come to already coordinated events in Merriam. So last year, Parks and Rec allowed me to coordinate a trunk or treat with the Halloween Happenings event. We had 10 businesses take part. They were able to connect with over 400 families, and we will be hosting that event again this year. Shop Merriam also had a really great year with 32 offers and a special holiday promotion to help boost the program. We are also pushing out that program this year for World Cup visitation. So that's all I have for you tonight. Any questions?
Any questions, Ms. Green?
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Director Dyer coming to the podium.
Mayor, council members, Brian Dyer, Community Development Director. Run you through the 2025 statistics for community development. Certainly will not be hitting every slide on there, just trying to hit the high points. You see the community development mission statement. First thing we're going to cover is codes enforcement and building permits issued, so building codes. This is a slide I always like to point out. This is the number of code violations that we've sent letters on. These are not citations, as you all are aware. We go through a number of different steps before we actually issue a citation or notice to appear. So for 2025, we had about 650 code violations, letters, notices that went out, which ultimately ended up in actual only 21 notices to appear. So that means all the 630 other violations were abated before there was a need to issue a ticket. So again, issuing tickets for codes is a very small percentage, less than 5% of the violations we notice throughout the year. Landlord licensing, about the same as we normally have, a little bit of uptick. It may have just been when folks were renewing. So we issued 513 landlord licenses. Of that, 20 of those were short-term rentals, which is actually a reduction in the number of short-term rentals by, I believe, about 2 from when we originally started the program. Building permits, 565 building permits we issued last year in 2025. This is always an interesting slide because I always like to point out the number of permits we issue has no correlations to the value of building that's being done out there. Last year was our largest year of building permits with over 700. That was because of a hailstorm that came through. But 2024 and 2025 had very similar numbers in valuation of buildings that were constructed in Merriam. It was just about $37 million. Just to let you know, that does not include the Serrano apartment building permit, which we issued this year for the apartment complex just right down the street. So neighborhood grants, these are the grants that the city council approves with their budget each year to help our neighborhoods, help folks visit with their neighbors, get out into the community. You can see we put a map up of the different grants and how they're dispersed throughout the city. Again, very evenly dispersed throughout there. Block parties, same number in 2025 as 2024, 14 block parties. The block party grant program, that's a program where neighbors come together, have the whole block party, and then the city reimburses them for expenses related to that party, such as food, beverages, and things like that. Neighborhood Islands, this is a grant program that's administered by Public Works. They did 7 last year, a very good number. 3 of those were in Vernon Place, 3 of those were in Forest Park, and one of them was in Vernon Place, and 3 of them were in Antioch Hills, apologize. So 3 in Antioch Hills, 3 in Forest Park, and 1 in Vernon Place. And there's a lovely before and after picture again. Really, you can see significant improvement that was made to that neighborhood island. Assistance programs, assistance grants, again, these are programs that are funded by the city of Merriam to help our folks who are less fortunate, folks in need. There again, a map showing how those are dispersed throughout the community. Franchise fee rebate program, this is the program in which we rebate, the city rebates to folks the portion of the city's franchise fee on their utilities bills. Again, very similar numbers as to the previous 2 years. City property tax rebate, this is probably our most popular rebate program. Folks are always excited about this program. This is a program where folks are income eligible. The city rebates the city's portion of their property tax. Again, last year we had the same number, 63 people or households participating in the program, but there was an increase in the value of the rebate to just over $50,000. Driveway grant repair program, this again, program to repair or replace driveways for folks in need that are in disrepair. Had 5 in the program last year, somewhat similar to 2022. We are anticipating hopefully more in the program this year. Residential grants, these are exterior grant program as well as sustainability program. These are a couple of our 2 oldest grant programs. This is again a program in which the city reimburses residents for improvements they make to their homes. Had 78 applications, 67 of those homes participate in the program. This is also some of my favorite numbers are on this slide. So the city reimbursed folks $162,000 for improvements they made to their home. That leveraged $663,000, so that's the amount of money that the residents put into the home themselves for a total improvement of $825,000. So that's the level of improvement that the residents made to their own homes through this grant program last year. Again, you can see the distribution of the Grants throughout the city, again, fairly even. Residential exterior improvements, very similar numbers to last year, about 45 folks participated in that program. Again, here's the types of improvements they made. Typical, this again, very similar to what we had in years past. Roofs, siding, paint, windows, and then driveways, sidewalks, and fences are usually the big ones. Residential sustainability had 20 households participate in that program. Biggest one there was HVACs, folks getting new furnace and air conditioning units. Again, a summary of that program, similar numbers as to what we've had in the past. Really nice picture of some home improvements that were through the program. This one is, I think the biggest improvement here was painting, but I do believe they also may have done windows on this one. We do have a downtown exterior grant program, similar to the residential one, where city reimburses businesses, property owners for improvements they make to downtown. Had one building in the program, they got the maximum reimbursement of $10,000. They put over $100,000 of improvements into their building. And then the last slide I have, these are the assistance grants. The city provides funds to Johnson County for their programs leading to rental assistance and utility assistance. The funds that the city provides go to Merriam residents. So last year we had 3 households participate in the rental assistance and 59 households participate in the utility assistance program that goes through the county. And with that, I will turn it over to Chief McLaughlin.
Oh, might be questions. Hang on just a second, Director Dyer. Any questions for Director Dyer? Okay, you're good to go. Thank you.
All right. Good evening. Our first slide here talks about our philosophy of community-oriented policing, working with residents, businesses, and visitors. As long as I've been chief, you all have heard me continuously refer to our community-oriented policing philosophy. We do an excellent job of being out in the community and engaging with our community in positive fashions other than writing tickets. A couple of examples, our officers showed up to a charity event given by some kids, selling some Kool-Aid and some brownies. Always can attract us with Kool-Aid and brownies, just a tip for anybody. The other slide there is a reference to the Operation Noel that we put together with several other police departments to help some underprivileged children have a good Christmas. That was a huge success. We were very proud of that that event. And we have all kinds of other community events, Coffee with a Cop, and other events. Next slide here shows some of the charity events we do, the Torch Run, and other events that we were participated in. We are very engaged in those types of events with our officers volunteering their time to go to Polar Plunge, Heroes Pool, other events. And then the slide on the right there is us at our schools. We tend to be at our schools while they're in session at each of our grade schools once per week, High Five Mondays and Motivational Mondays, High Five Fridays. They're at each school engaging with the children in a positive manner. And what would be an annual report without some statistical information? Our crime rates are relatively steady. We did see a dramatic decrease in property crimes, about a 20% decrease from last year, in 25 from 24. Crimes against society, crimes against persons are relatively stable. Calls for service, our calls for service, again, are pretty stable. We average between 9,500 and 10,000 calls for service a year. Self-initiated calls, you'll see that in 2025 we had about 5,000 more. That is mainly due to staffing. We're finally becoming fully staffed and getting more officers out on the street from the last few years. So that's the number that tends to go up when you have more officers working the street, have more time to do stuff like traffic stops and business checks and that sort of thing. This next slide here is just a small report on our co-responder program. We have 2 co-responders here in Northeast Johnson County that are supported by us, Mission, Fairway, Roland Park, and Westwood. In 2025, we had about 6 months where we only had 1 co-responder. One was had some medical issues and finally left the program, and then later this year, the other co-responder we had left the program, but we're in the process of replacing. We got one hired, and they're in the process of replacing the second one, so we should be fully staffed in that again. The thing, the big number there, even though we didn't have our 2 full co-responders last year, is the number of jail diverts. I think that's an important number. They prevented 41 individuals who otherwise would have been on their way because they committed a criminal offense to incarceration. We were able to divert them to other programs, either hospital or otherwise, to get the mental health that they need instead of going into incarceration. As you can see, we had about 428 reports involving mental health individuals in our city. It's going up year by year. It seems like the mental health issues are one of those increasing things, and I do appreciate the fact the council has funded the co-responder program and has allowed us to add a second co-responder over the years. It's really one of those things that does make a difference in our city. Top 5 accident locations, nothing really changes here. Shawnee Mission Parkway, obviously, especially at I-35. It seems like we've got a plan maybe to try to fix that in the next few years, if everything goes right. Antioch Road, Johnson Drive, 75th Street, and Merriam Drive are the top 5. Officers are working. I'm not going to go through all this. There's just some examples of some of the calls that we were involved with. It's just a very small sample. The big thing is Merriam officers received an average of 142 training hours in 2025. That's per officer. Just to give you guys a little bit of insight, the state of Kansas only requires officers to have 40 hours of in-service training to maintain their licenses. Training is extremely important for this organization. We believe in training to the point that we make sure our officers are not denied any kind of training if we can possibly do it. Confident officers, good officers. Asset forfeiture, we're required by the state to file an asset forfeiture report publicly. We choose to do that in our annual report. We have a fund balance of $1,684.61. We really haven't added to the asset forfeiture fund. There was a $220 receipt that came from the Kansas Department of Gaming for something they did in Merriam, and we got $220, and it was more of a pain to take that money in than it was to give it to us. So we spent $1,500 of that money on some training. One of my captains went to a professional school, and we used part of that asset forfeiture funds to pay for that. So we're down to about $413 in that fund total. Officer recognition, Jared Ruby was promoted corporal in October. Grant Michael was promoted to master police officer. Dalton Peevler became a DRE, a drug recognition expert. That's a very intense school. It's not easy to get through. Congratulations to him for completing that. Lillian Schenk, who was one of our CSOs, made the transformation to police officer. She is currently in the police academy right now. Lydia Elson just graduated police academy. She's been in our PTO program for about the last 30 days, and she's doing extremely well. And Officer of the Year, of course, we just presented. Any questions?
Questions? The chief?
Awesome.
Okay, the chief.
Fire department,
The chief, come on.
they're great. They do everything well. You know, they're heroes.
That concludes the
Thanks for
presentation.
recognizing
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Alan Long, Overland Park Fire Department, here to present the fire department overview. Obviously, we provide fire and emergency medical services through a contractual agreement with the City of Merriam. We also provide technical rescue, hazmat, and wildland services as well. This is a breakdown of the incidents we responded to that actually had fire, and then the breakdown of the value of the structures and property when we got there versus what we were able to save. Our commercial dollar loss for 2025 was 0. If you recall, last year it was much higher. It was close to $1 million with the 7-Eleven. We were fortunate this year we didn't have any commercial dollar loss. And then the residential, the crews did a great job keeping that at about a 97.39% property and contents value saved. This is a breakdown really of the fire responses when we actually have to do suppression activities. We're called to over 700 fire responses, things that don't fall into the medical kind of bucket. And this is a breakdown of those. So we had car fires, building fires, apparently some banana fires as well, but then grass and brush fires and kind of the breakdown. And then this really kind of breaks everything down. So total call volume for the city of Merriam in that service area is just under 2,000. Suzanne Coleman, who is the inspector that is assigned to the city of Merriam, performed over 269 fire inspections with a code compliance of 96 or resolved 96.65. We issued 169 burn permits to the residents of Merriam, and then the breakdown of total calls, a little over 1,200 for the EMS side, and like I said, 715 for the fire side. Total call volume for all of our service areas, over 26,000 calls per year. We're about 26,350 or so. We continue to increase about 1,000 or 1,500 a year. And then this, some of the events we attended, obviously the celebration of the 75th birthday for Merriam, and then the honoring of First Responders Week proclamation here in the chambers. Happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions, Chief Long? Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. I'm proud to share the success of our department as a dedicated staff of 11 professionals working together to improve the quality of life of Merriam residents. We added one new face to our team last year, Logan Dunn, the recreation assistant for programs. There were lots of memories made this year as we continue to build community. Total participation in all divisions of operations grew 5.8%. Replacement of park amenities continues to be a priority to ensure spaces are welcoming and inviting to use. We complete monthly inspections thanks to a certified playground inspector in our Public Works Department to ensure a safe experience for all park visitors. Last year was the first time in a long time we were able to honor our civic leaders as well as neighbors, and so we did that last year. That's always a highlight to be able to provide that honor to those people. Outdoor rentals provide amenities to the community with opportunity to host family reunions, graduations, and secure fields for practice. The Farmers Market continues to be a well-loved program. Children activities and monthly music provided a great mix of entertainment throughout the season. Participation in events grew 5.8%, an indication that the community enjoys the variety offered throughout the year. While the farmers market saw a slight decline in 2025, 2024 was a record year. We still saw increased participation in all of our, what we call our divisions that we operate within. A highlight of events hosted throughout the year. You really can say a picture is worth 1,000 words. And when you look at these 16 pictures, that's a lot of words. We had the opportunity to host a unique event last year, and staff found a way to make it happen. Working with Karen and Renee, they were able to bring the Wienermobile to Merriam. And this was our third year in offering the military tribute banner. Total visits to the community center. We celebrated our 5th year of operation. It's hard to believe that we have been open and operating 5 years. And visitation continued to increase. This year it was 4.6% over 2024. Program participation experienced growth in all categories. Staff worked to develop many new programs and promote existing programs in 2025. We want everyone to be active in recreation activities. The scholarship program continues to grow, and thanks with our partnership with the Merriam Parks Recreation and Community Center Foundation and the Dolphin Fund, they provide reimbursement annually to offset this expense to our operating budget. The Fit Class Pass is the one thing I'm going to highlight about this. This was launched in 2022, requiring, at that time, it needed to be subsidized $3,700 in financial support. In 2025, it delivered over $30,000 in revenue to our bottom line. We added 19 classes and 12 instructors. So staff responsible for that program really are working hard to grow and manage that aspect of our program. In celebrating 5 years of operation, staff work to find ways to improve the aesthetics and visitor experience. Some improvements are easy to be recognized, like the new fitness equipment that was donated by the Marion Park Recreation and Community Center Foundation. Others, like filter media, updated pool controls, and online calendars, are not as noticeable, but those that experience those amenities notice a difference in their operation. Partnerships with, we call it KUSEA, it's the University of Kansas Sensory Enhanced Aquatics Program, not only provide inclusive recreation, but also help other communities with the research that they complete at our facility, and then we are recognized in their research. Most events are not possible without our volunteers, and their contribution is significant to our department. As you can see, a monetary value estimating a little over $42,000, almost $43,000. That would have increased our personnel if we didn't have our wonderful volunteers. Staff takes responsibility, the citizens entrusted in us with the approval of the quarter-cent sales tax for the construction of the community center very seriously. We monitor this very closely. Revenues increased 6.1% in 2025, and membership growth experienced the largest increase of that dollar amount. Expenditures in 2025 also increased 10.5%. Personnel was the driver of this increase, and as a service-oriented department, that is to be expected if we're going to maintain what we're doing. Staff continues to work hard to maintain cost recovery. As with all services the city provides, there is a cost to our citizens, and in 2025, the operations of the community center cost citizens a little over $1 million. I like to look at this, interpret this number a little bit differently. With approximately 11,000 residents, that's about $94 a year per resident, which equates to 26 cents a day. With 247,257 visits to the community center, that's $419 per visit. So I always kind of like to see what that subsidy shakes out to be when you're looking at those numbers. Staff is excited with the growth of 2025 and are excited to the challenge to continue to develop programs and opportunities to ensure the experience continues for our residents. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for
Right, Celia,
Rex Slocum? Okay.
you're up.
Before you take off, see, I think I failed to mention this earlier, but the Heartland Art Exhibit just occurred, right? And we had several council members actually volunteered to help out at that event, which we appreciate that. And I know there were like 80 works, 49 artists or something. Is that about right? Okay, and 210 submitted, is what I understand. I've got to mention that earlier, so thank you for letting me do that. Please go ahead.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. Last but not least, I'd like to present some highlights for Public Works. The Public Works Department, with 21 employees, maintains our city streets, fleet, stormwater facilities, parks, and manages the CIP. So I'm going to provide a quick overview on 4 main areas that we provide services. First is maintenance of city infrastructure, and I'm not going to read all the statistics, but as you see, our crew is very busy maintaining our streets. We crack seal and repair asphalt, and we replace concrete to keep our streets in good condition for the traveling public. We're maintaining our streetlights and converting those to LEDs, and we're now down to 60 streetlights that do not have LEDs. So we'll be putting that in the CIP this year, and at the end of the year, we will have all converted to LED, which saves energy. Also, we sweep our streets to keep them clean and maintain our stormwater. And one thing I noticed that we didn't put in our snowplow, we only had 2 events. I shouldn't say this because now we'll probably have a couple new snow events, but we only had 2 this year. But as you know, the guys do a great job, and we're known for keeping our streets plowed and safe during winter storms. For fleet maintenance, Caleb Hunt is our fleet superintendent, Ross Davis is our fleet superintendent, and with one other mechanic, he maintains 57 vehicles and 105 types of equipment throughout the year. Here's some of the projects that he does, and one thing that you know about fleet is that they're very innovative. So when our water truck went out this year, instead of replacing it, it was really expensive and you can only use it for watering. Ross came up with a system to modify an existing dump truck. So he put in the tank and use a bunch of different hoses, and then at the end of the season, after watering, we take it off and we use it for other things. So he's very innovative, and we really appreciate that. Caleb Hunt, along with 2 other facility maintenance employees, maintains our facilities, 5 city facilities and a parking structure. Here's some of the different projects that he's done throughout the year that have been very successful. And one new project that he's been taking on is serving as a city liaison and owner's rep for the Grand Station Marketplace. So that's a new job, but he's doing really great with that. He's managing the financials and overseeing the construction of the contractor and the developer. So very multifaceted. CIP, we manage 13 projects with a total budget of over $26 million. And I have Turkey Creek in there, and as you know, that's ongoing, but really, Public Works participates, but I really have to give the credit to Brian with Community Development and City Administration. They're doing a lot of the work, but we're participating when we can, and waiting to see that project come to fruition. There's a number of the projects that we've completed construction this year, and a number of different projects that we began design, and there's other projects that are kind of in the middle that are getting completed as we speak. And here's some of our specialty programs. I think we're most known for the citywide cleanups. They're very popular, as you know, 2 large item pickups, a tree limb pickup, holiday tree pickup, and 1 storm debris drop-off that we held last year. Our next tree limb pickup is scheduled for the week of the 23rd, I believe. So I know we've had some phone calls today about, are you going to do a special limb pickup? But after an assessment, we determined that, you know, we hope that the residents can wait for 2 weeks when we have that special pickup. We're well known for our hanging baskets, 210 throughout the city. They're very beautiful, but they do take work. And then we're really excited about the wildflower gardens. Planted one along the trail, underneath the power lines, and then due to Councilmember Leahy, recommended wildflower gardens at the corner of Merriam Drive and Antioch. So hopefully they'll look beautiful this year. We're waiting to see how those turn out. So that's pretty exciting. And then you can see that we have, in cooperation with Heartland Tree Alliance, 165 trees were planted this year for residents. And then we have the neighborhood grants and the Mayor's Monarch Pledge. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions, Director Dunphy?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
In closing, just want to thank again staff. Every employee that we have is an important employee, or we wouldn't have them. Appreciate the council for their continued support of staff, the communications team, department heads for their leadership in their different functional areas, and hopefully this is something that you hear good things from your neighbors about, because this is something, this will be a living document that we will continue to do year after year. So that being said, thank you very much. Our pleasure.
Thank you. All right. Well, it looks like, I was checking through the list here itself, the, annual report. Oh, I guess I did already mentioned earlier about a couple things before we move on to the council items. Is just that a couple council members attended the employee quarterly event. I already talked about the Heartland exhibit, and a couple council members attended the Northeast Chamber event at Georgetown Apartments. Anything else that the council did? I didn't have a big list that time, but thank you. Okay, thanks for everything you do. Looks like next item up is consider approval of a professional service agreement. Looks like we have Ms. Card coming to the podium.
Good evening again. In order to fulfill one of the council goals regarding downtown, the item before you tonight is to consider a professional services agreement for the downtown master plan. This downtown master plan will complement the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers' ongoing work and build upon our previous efforts. We're certainly not starting from scratch, and we all know that. In January, end of last year actually, staff released a request for qualifications for professional planning and engagement services. 18 responses were received, and a selection committee consisting of staff and members of the governing body. Thank you for participating for those who did. Reviewed all of those submissions. 4 firms were selected for interviews, and ultimately Shockey Consulting was selected for this, recommended to you for the contract tonight. They have a deep expertise in community engagement. They've performed a number of different downtown master plans all over the region. As I mentioned, community engagement is one of their fortes, but they also will be evaluating physical and regulatory barriers such as the floodplain and the rail constraints, and they're going to provide actionable recommendations for improvements and investments in downtown. The project is anticipated to begin almost immediately if you would choose to approve this evening and be completed by the end of the year. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Carter? Okay. Oh, yes, we do have Ms. Hands. Go ahead.
I had one, she's already heard it, so, I was surprised by the dollar amount because of our conversation with this consultant saying we'd already invested so much in studying all the things. And because I don't deal in numbers like this all the time, I'm just curious what kind of negotiations happened.
Yeah, the dollar amount does seem large, but this is really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The reason that is the number that it is because we are prioritizing community engagement. We want to make sure that whomever in the community wants to be heard will be heard, and that's going to take a lot of time and effort from the consultant, and that's what's ultimately driving up the price.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Leahy.
Can you or some of the other council members who got to sit in on the interviews talk a little bit about why Shockey was chosen over the other applicants? What made them stand out? Because not all of us got to be part of that.
I'd be happy to give my opinion.
Go ahead, Ms. Hands.
There's the people, the team members that they brought in to talk to us had so much city experience that some of them by reputation were known to us, but they brought a lot of talent and experience. That was part of my voting.
Okay, Ms. Shveda, go ahead.
I always have an opinion, of course. My opinion is that I thought that it would be a design team that I would, just because of my background and who I am, I thought a design team would be where we would go, but Shockey just, was, I think, like Christine said, like they were just really great with the fact that like their city government experience, that most of them had worked within city government, and the community engagement piece was just leaps and bounds above what any of the design teams presented.
I'll also add that I liked their emphasis on data points and really gathering data as well as taking existing data to do things and not just anecdotally making suggestions. That was an important point for me, and they represented that well. And their team was also very well balanced, as well as their sub partners were very well balanced and they didn't specialize in one particular area and then we're bringing in people to supplement that. They had experience across the board.
Ms. Ryder?
I felt like they had, like Whitney said, a lot of experience both in government, as residents, as in their chosen field. I really liked the fact that they're very personable but professional at the same time. And so I felt like we would work well with them.
Okay.
I'm going to add on to my other comment, and that was their brochure that they sent us, the proposal. They didn't want to start from ground zero. You've already done a lot of work. Let's go from what work has been done and add on to that.
Well, thank you, Ms. Leahy, for bringing that up, and thank you for all the council members that sit in on that. It sounds like hopefully we have a good selection that's going to be moving forward. So any other questions for Ms. Gardner? Okay. I assume at this point, I would entertain a motion then, if we want to proceed forward with this. Ms. Shadrich.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council concur with the selection committee's recommendation to engage Shockey Consulting for professional services related to the Downtown Merriam Master Plan and authorize the mayor to sign the professional services agreement.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Go ahead, Ms. Shveda.
Mr. Mayor, second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we have a motion, a second.
Councilmember Kosemeyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Leahy.
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodridge.
Aye.
Councilmember Shavetta.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Looks like you're here for the next item.
I sure am. Yes.
Please move forward.
Tonight, you're being asked to consider the fiscal year 27 council budget goals and objectives. We did discuss this at a work session held on February 23rd. There were a number of requested changes. Every January, staff solicits additions, deletions, modifications. And because of the sheer number of those, we felt it best to have a work session to talk through each suggestion. And so out of that work session, almost all of the requested additions or changes were recommended by the city council. The first one is to put more emphasis on a % for arts policy, adding a wildlife management strategies initiative, a transportation review of Antioch Road, a pedestrian safety near schools review, and housing choice and neighborhood stability, specifically around housing options and targeted zoning strategies. An additional update was for sustainability and high design standards across our city operations. And an update to our recruit and retainment statement, particularly focusing on diversity and reflecting the needs of the community. A request to continue to support our urban forest, an addition of pollinator-friendly practices, expanding our Community for All Ages program and the support for that, removing our community-wide strategic planning process goal. Just as we discussed, the downtown master plan will be taking place this year. We really won't be doing both at the same time, but knowing that that's a priority for the future. Updating our single hauler goal to reflect that the program will begin in 2026. Connecting with residents across all of our different positions within the community, and narrowing down our downtown master plan process language. In addition to that, the format of the council goals and objectives was updated to better reflect council strategic goals and provide clearer guidance during the budget development process to staff. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions, Ms. Gordon? Oh, okay, you did a good job. Well, I would entertain a motion then, if we want to move forward with that. Okay, Ms. Shadridge.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the council approve the fiscal year 27 budget goals and objectives.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, Ms. Shredder.
Mr. Mayor, second.
We have a motion to second. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Hanson.
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Leahy.
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodridge.
Aye.
Councilmember Shavetta.
Aye.
Councilmember Kosemeyer.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. It looks like the next item up is information form from Mr. Engel coming to the podium.
Make sure I was the next item here. Thank you, Mayor, Council. Next item on your agenda is consider use of contingency to supplement the fiscal year 2026 art budget. The art committee, which as you saw in the presentation we shared a little bit earlier, doing some good work in 2025. They want to continue that work in 2026. They're getting ready to release an RFQ. The budget that they have available to them each year is $115,000. They have not spent all of those funds in past years. They would like to supplement their budget this year with some of those unspent funds from the past. So they'd like to release the RFQ for their 2026 art project in the maximum amount of $250,000. In order to do that, we would need to supplement their current $115,000 budget with $135,000 from contingency. Happy to answer any questions you may have about that, or other folks present might be happy to answer any questions you have about that. Yes, sir.
I guess I always assumed that when we approved the CIP with the money in it, it was basically $575,000 over 5 years to spend, and it wasn't you only get $115 a year each year, and then use it or lose it.
Sure. And generally, we can roll from a year before, but that would be similar to saying that we have $4 million for sidewalks on any given year, or we have $300,000 for LED conversion on any given year, because that's within the CIP. We I think historically have said we would pledge that amount, but there are still processes that need to go forward. The reason this one is more so contingency structured the way it is, because it actually is more than was available last year. So,
Borrowing last year and next year a
yeah,
little
so
bit.
this would actually goes beyond last year's funding. So that's why you need $135,000. So there's clearly processes we can go to do this. It just needs to be approved by the council.
But if it wasn't borrowing forward, would we still have to come back and do this if it was for?
We would not
$200,000
borrow,
more?
we would, from a staff perspective, we would not borrow forward. We would borrow backwards. We would come to the council and we would do the same thing. If you wanted to, in year one of, say, a 5-year art program, say we want to spend all 565 in year one, we would come to council and we would say, hey, we need contingency in the amount of $400,000. And it would simply be up to the council to do so. And then in the 5-year plan, we would just, staff would assume we're getting rid of year 2, 3, 4, and 5 because we spent it all in year one. But in the 5-year plan, there's 565. So, but the 5-year CIP is actually 5 1-year plans. We just look at it holistically as a 5-year for planning purposes. But yeah, we certainly could do it that way.
Yeah, Mr. Engel, as far as contingency and how my knowledge of it works is for those items that we don't anticipate that come up and we would be utilizing, that money would be there kind of as a reserve or as a safety net for unknown expenses. The fact that we didn't spend that money on this, those contingency funds in the past used for maybe other items, is that money really there? I know we have money in the contingency that's for contingency, but.
It might be easier just to explain procedurally how the budget works, if you bear with me for a second. So when we build the 26 budget in 25, any given year, but we're going to use 25 and 26. When we built the 26 budget in 25, we assume that all of the funds in 25 were going to be spent. So we don't actually reallocate those dollars. They just, on 12/31, they kind of drop into an unallocated pool, if you will, because we don't have any use. We did not program them for anything because we didn't know they were going to be available. So that's just 1 year back. Now, when we're building the 27 budget, if we weren't going to spend those funds, we absolutely would reallocate those unspent funds for the 27 budget. That's why we can do a year look back, because anything that didn't get spent last year, really, it's not earmarked for anything else yet. It will be next year. Does that answer your question? So in terms of contingency, we also budget contingency, and then we have that unallocated pool of money that we can use. So the money that's in there would be for unforeseen. I think maybe our next item actually is requesting to tap into some of those funds. So when we have bids that come in higher, something occurs in the community. So yeah, we have those contingency funds, but the money's available. It's just not allocated anything yet. I hope that kind of answered.
Yeah,
or made sense.
I think so.
I hope.
Makes sense to everybody else. Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Shadrich.
Is this going to be kind of like a one-time request, or is this something that we can expect from this committee moving forward if they don't use any funds in there, if they don't use funds in there that are allocated to them in a specific year? Are they going to ask to carry those over, or is this a lesson learned, or?
Yeah, I can't speak to that.
Go ahead. Ms.
Jason,
Vena.
do you want me to? Okay. So I don't know, I don't remember when you were on the committee or when you were the liaison for the committee, we worked on the public art master plan. That process took a lot longer than anyone anticipated because they wanted to make sure they got it right. And it wasn't as expensive as the $115,000. So that's how we got off on I don't want to say the wrong foot, but that's how we got off on this like cadence of not spending the money that was allocated. I don't think anyone on the committee, and I will also say I didn't understand this, that if we didn't spend it that year, that we didn't have it anymore kind of thing. And so everyone assumed that we had the money to be able to put out an RFQ for $250,000 this year. And so I think if we can either make a mechanism where we don't have, where they have the 5 years of money to spend or whatever. I don't know how we do that in the budget, but or if we just explain, hey, we need to spend the money this year, or prepare to talk to council about it.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I don't know. Okay.
It does make sense.
Ms. Hans.
So is the committee being careful about what the maintenance of the artwork is costing? Is that being folded into the art committee budget or into Public Works budget?
I think generally, we're programming for the maintenance of the art, we being Public Works.
Okay, I know way back when, we had we were surprised and had to have a maintenance line that we added.
As I recall, and certainly I wasn't on the committee, but as I recall, what we were surprised was to prepare for the art. We budgeted, initially we had $500,000 and we said, hey, we went and got a piece of art for 100 and we realized we needed about another $10,000-$15,000 actually to run utilities and things like that to make it work. I don't recall that being for maintenance.
Okay.
Because I think we've always put the maintenance of it just in Public Works, because we already had the bears, we were already taking care of the bears. Now we've just kind of added more of those things. And I could be wrong, but
No,
I
I think that does make sense.
that's why
It
we
was-
bumped it up.
It was prepping, especially for the tower. So in general, are we sure that we're covering maintenance of artwork ongoing?
As far as I know, yes, we are. We are not getting behind on that.
We're
But
not getting
as we add more art, clearly, we're going to have to continue to reevaluate.
Because some of it's going to have special needs, I'm sure.
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Silvers.
And part of the RFQ that we're putting out in the final RFP requires the artist to present maintenance guidelines for the art, which will help our Public Works Department better budget for the maintenance throughout the years.
Ms. Caldwell.
Yeah, I'm going to support this because I want to send the message to the art committee that it's okay that you didn't spend the money in prior years, and it's still part of that $560,000. And I do not ever want this council to get into a use it or lose it mentality. So.
Ms. Shredder, did you have something new?
I was just gonna say, we've been talking about like the site preparation as part of the overall budget for each piece. So, because we learned lessons of previous, we didn't know what we didn't know in the beginning, right? So,
Exactly.
yeah, we're making sure that that is part of the conversation as part of the budget of the project.
I just know we've changed personnel, we've changed staff, we've changed electeds, so I wanted to be sure it was still
Yes.
up front. Thank you.
Ms. Leahy.
I agree with Councilmember Caldwell that, I think this is an important endeavor and I'm for it and I understand how we got to this point. I would like to see us set up a mechanism where that money's accrued over the 5 years and then unspent funds are earmarked specifically for the art committee to use in future years. So it's at their discretion without having to come back to us to use money that they didn't spend last year.
We may not be able to do it exactly like that, but we can roll those funds over. We can do
And I
that.
don't know if we can do it with the way the current budget is set up, but next time we reallocate money, it'd be nice not to have to do this every time the art committee wants to spend more than their 1 year's allotment.
Yeah, as I think I put in the action form, if the council approves this tonight, we'll update the CIP, and updating the CIP would include to create a rollover mechanism so those things can roll over.
Perfect, thank you.
Other questions? Okay, well.
Thank you.
Well, at this, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was going to say I'd entertain a motion at this point. Go ahead, Ms. Shadrich.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the council approve $135,000 in contingency to supplement the fiscal year 26 art committee budget for a total approved budget of $250,000.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. What do you like, Ms. Shredder?
Mr. Mayor, I second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we have a motion, a second.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Leahy.
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodrich.
Aye.
Councilmember Shavetta.
Aye.
Councilmember Kosemeyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Looks like next item up is Quail Creek bid award. We have Director Kumke to the podium.
The city's CIP includes funds for the 2026 Mill and Overlay Project in Quail Creek. And we discussed this when we approved the design contract last year, but a refresher is that we originally scoped this for a 2-inch mill and overlay, And when we went out to look at the pavement this year, it was really deteriorated. So we took some pavement cores and found that there was an insufficient asphalt thickness for a mill and overlay. And so we recommended that we would do a full depth reconstruction this year, which would be 6 inches of asphalt with a 8-inch cement treated base. And that will extend the useful life of the streets from about 10 years since we did the last mill and overlay to about a 20 to 25-year life cycle, and will reduce overall maintenance costs over time. The project was bid in February, and on March 3rd, we opened bids from 6 contractors, and J.M. Fahey Construction was the lowest and most responsive bid in the amount of $2,029,953.25. And Fahey has completed a number of projects in Merriam, and they perform satisfactory work. Speaking of contingencies, the project budget was $1.5 million, assuming a mill and overlay, and approving this bid, including design, would mean that the project budget would be at an additional $820,470.25. And similar to the ARC Committee contingency discussion, we had a number of favorable bids in 2025. So we went back and looked at all those CIP projects and found that we had funds that we didn't spend because bids were a lot lower. So we're recommending that those project savings would go into contingency, and we would use those funds for the project. So if you approve the bid, we will update the CIP to reflect the new budget. And just so you know, this was kind of a last-minute thing, and so for the next 5-year CIP, if there's any pavement that really looks deteriorated, we're going to go ahead and collect those pavement cores at the beginning of next year for the 5 years, so that we'll know ahead of time, so it won't be something that we just find out at, the year before. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Kuzma.
Yeah, so since this street had, that insufficient pavement thickness, and then you're recommending the reconstruction with the, very deep base and a thicker pavement, well, does that mean that in 20 to 25 years, when this road needs reconstruction or redesigning, we'll be able to do a mill and overlay like we weren't able to do this year?
Correct.
Cool.
Yeah. And I will say it will be more disruptive to residents. We're going to go ahead and have a public meeting so that we can kind of explain the process once we get the contractor on board, so we can tell them what to expect. But once it's done, then we'll be hopefully not in their subdivision for another 20, 25 years.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Leahy.
Just looking through the numbers, I'm assuming that the difference between the 1.5 million and the 820,000 and the difference in funds, it's about $320,000 for Olson for design. Is that where the discrepancy in numbers comes from?
Yes. I think it was like 290.
Yeah,
But
but
yeah.
yeah, in that ballpark.
Yeah, that's correct.
The difference between the 2 million that we're budgeting and the estimate and the 800,000 overage.
Correct.
Perfect, thanks.
Mr. Silvers, do you have something too?
I just wanted to thank you for looking ahead and doing those core samples now. I know this is something we ran into, I believe it was on 51st Street 5 or so years ago, and it seems to be a surprise every time. So to get ahead of it would be great. I appreciate it.
Yes, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do want to thank CIP, Randy, Celia, Sean, Randy Fine, all the folks that really look at these things. And, there are times we come upon these things and we wonder who made these decisions and how they were made. And we have to remember that we are in a pretty fortunate position that we can do the right thing and pay the extra money to do the right thing, to buy some longevity and some peace and quiet in the neighborhoods that in the past perhaps some of the folks didn't have the same luxuries. So one, just to be thankful that we are have those ability to make those decisions, but also the fact that we actually are making them, because we certainly sometimes don't have to, but I think we always look and say, hey, what's the best for the neighborhood? What's best for the bang for the buck today? Because that street in 25 years is not going to be what it costs today, or in 10 years if we did a mill and overlay. So again, just wanted to acknowledge that doing the right thing for the right reasons.
Okay, Ms. Cole, go ahead.
Yeah, 2 questions. One is, how's Water One coming on their main replacement? And number 2, we had an inquiry from a resident about the speed humps. Could you speak to that, please?
Yes. Water One is finished, but gas decided after Water One started that they needed to get in there, and we gave them a deadline of April 1st, and so far they're doing really well, and they should hit that. So I don't know yet when Fahey wants to start, so I'll find that out, but yeah, Water One is, they did a really good job and got in and out. Yes, we had an inquiry. We have one speed hump in the neighborhood, and a resident asked for another one. And so looking on 69th Street, that's a major cutoff or a cut through between Antioch and West Frontage. With the length of the road, we figured we could put one more in, kind of equal space it, and I think that would be helpful. I never did hear back from the resident. Yeah, so we're planning to put that in.
So the last time, actually when that speed hump was put in, or when CarMax was first built, this was a huge issue. So I'm not at all surprised that it would have come up again. So thank you for addressing that. I think it's what Chris Engel just spoke to. We get in and we do everything we can do, and then we get out and leave them alone.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Schmidt.
I know this isn't my ward, but I was just curious about, you said you were going to have a public meeting because this is going to be extremely disruptive to this neighborhood now that we're doing a full depth. So I'm just curious of community, how we're touching base with our residents and all of those things. And I'm sure you have a plan, but I just like to bring it up because I think it's important when we're doing these really disruptive neighborhood projects.
Mm-hmm. So we sent out a letter informing them of the construction in Water One, and then once we get a contractor on board, we have another public meeting and bring them so that they can answer specific questions like, where are you starting first? How are you doing this? And then we'll also update, there's two options, the website or sending out emails, and we've tried both ways. So we're still debating which way would be more productive, but we'll be planning to update. The only thing about updating is, as you know, with construction, we tell them, okay, they're going to be out there paving on Wednesday, and then they don't pave on Wednesday, and then everyone's wondering what's going on. So we try to put in a little, weather contingent. But yeah, that's how we plan to communicate for this.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, go, Ms. Lahey.
Two quick questions. If the public engagement, depending on how it goes, will it affect the contract price depending on scheduling? Do we think we might have to come back and
No.
revisit? What about the current volatility in crude oil?
Once we approve the bid, that's set.
Other questions? Director Kumpke? I think we're winding down on questions. Okay. All right. Well, I would entertain a motion at this point then. Ms. Hands.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the council approve a contract with J.M. Fahey Construction for the 2026 street improvements project for the neighborhood called Quail Creek in the amount of $2,029,953.25.
That comes out 25 cents. Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Mr.
Mr.
Cole.
Mayor, I'd like to second that.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we have a motion second.
Councilmember Leahy.
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodrich.
Aye.
Councilmember Shavetta.
Aye.
Councilmember Kozmeyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Looks like we have CIP update next. Why don't you just get into that?
The March CIP update is in your packet, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about any project. I did want to point out the 75th Street Bridge repair project is coming up with a start date of March 30th, and they're estimating that railroad bridge west of the 75th interchange bridge will be closed March 30th through June 5th. And thanks to communications with Sierra and Lauren, they've been working with Overland Park staff. They'll have a website, and we're going to send out a letter to our businesses. So hopefully we'll be working. I think the fire department's notified and police, so we'll be working closely to make sure everybody's aware. They'll get out message boards and have detour signs. So that should be coming up.
Exciting.
And I can say that the picture, the detour picture and where things are closed and the red and the green, it spoke very clearly what all our communication will need to be is that there are 2 bridges there, which
Yes.
most of us are not aware of.
Yes. Yeah, they did a great job with the graphic. Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, no other questions? All right, well, I guess, you're through with that. Looks like our next item up would be informational items, Park and Rec Advisory Board minutes were in our packet. We do have Director Slocum here this evening, you got any questions for her, but, no? Okay, see none of that. All right, I don't think there's any executive, Mr. Engel, you got anything else from staff?
Just a couple updates. I think Mayor mentioned it a little bit as he's on his way back to the dais earlier, that we have Women's History Month flags out in front of Municipal Plaza flying this month. Also, Friday will be Free Day at the Merriam Community Center. And last, thanks to Public Works and Public Safety, Fire, and Police Department for all of their efforts on Friday night during the storm and in the subsequent hours to come after the storm. I think I speak for all of our residents for thank you for all your great efforts. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Mr. Engel? See none that way. I see none that way. Okay. Well, if, I would entertain a motion for adjournment then. Do we? Go ahead, Ms. Shadridge.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion. Go ahead, Ms. Shveta.
Mr. Mayor, second.
We have a motion second, Madam Clerk.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
What's up?